At times life shifts and we find ourselves on the edge of the unfamiliar. It's like a mix of fear and freedom, where old rules lose their grip. And that's when we experience the moment, like, this is the real beginning for me. This is where my journey begins. We kinda let go of plans rooted in past version of ourselves and step fully into unknown. We kind of start embracing that new chapter in a sense, like, I'm willing to build this skill, I'm willing to master this thing, I'm willing to invest like 10,000 of hours into this thing, and I will not stop until I really create results I want to see. How many of you are at this phase of your life? Because this is a message I want to give to those of you who are at the phase of your life where nothing will move until you move. Nothing will change until you change. And nothing will heal until you heal. Nothing, results can't come to you if you don't change the behavior in your life, if you don't change the patterns of your life, and if you don't become more skillful with things you want to succeed. I want to actually give you 5 powerful reminders that I've learned on my path. I've actually learned these things by studying other people who've mastered their craft. The thing is that when you feel like you're settling into a familiar circle, into a familiar pattern, you need to force yourself to shake things up in your life and find some new challenges. The thing is that we naturally fall into habitual patterns because that's where we save our energy for just survival. But when we challenge ourselves, that's when we grow, that's when we learn new skills, that's when we become more useful and valuable. That's when our knowledge expands by experience, not by learning or studying or just reading. And personal experience is the greatest wisdom of life. So whenever you feel like you're settling into a familiar cycle where nothing new happens, so many of you may be feeling this, force yourself to shake things up, because you see, your brain doesn't want to change, your body doesn't want to change, but for you to experience changes, you need to force yourself to shake things up. When things become too familiar, too habitual, you really need to shift yourself. That's why you need to push yourself into change. Like if you're lacking challenges in your life, challenges that will allow you to grow. I don't mean, maybe you have financial challenges or health challenges and you may say, I'm already challenged enough. What if these challenges are actually your wake-up calls because you've been not challenging yourself? You see, if you're not challenging yourself, life will start challenging you because you're here to grow. And apparently you're not growing. Apparently you've stopped yourself. You've made yourself being stuck and you need wake-up calls. So you have maybe this kind of wake-up calls in your reality that are actually encouraging you to push yourself into new challenges that will make you grow, make you more skillful, more valuable. So then you can actually offer something new to the world. You see, when you become very useful in a certain endeavor, whatever it is, in certain craft, in art, in talking, in learning, in teaching, in any area of business, whatever, people will need you. You will become needed in society, in a sense that they will come to you and pay you whatever amount of money for your service. If you have a job and you want to make more money there, become more useful, become more valuable, and I'm sure your salary will grow. If not, well, with all these skills and values, you can easily change your job. It's easy as that. And I'm talking this from my personal experience, because when I've started working more on myself at my last job back in 2017, I've quitted my last job and started my own thing, my own business and my own art career. And at my last job, I was already studying these things. I've recognized, well, we are creatures of habit. We can learn by adapting behaviors that help us to be more knowledgeable, that help us to be more adaptable, that help us to see things from different perspectives. Like every time you read a book from someone else, you get a new perspective of that same subject. And then if you embody it, you just become like a whole new person. When I've started doing that, you know what my boss one day said to my coworkers? He said, be more like Gasper when it comes to, conversations with clients. And I'm not talking about this to brag or something. I'm just giving you an example. And that's how you become more valuable. So, my friend, whenever you feel like you're settling into a familiar cycle where nothing new happens in your life, it means you are ready for new challenges. You need to push yourself into unfamiliar territories, and many times you will need to force yourself to do that because your body doesn't want to do it. Your brain doesn't want to do it. But in order to really experience a change, well, you will need to push yourself. Otherwise, life will push you. That's just how life works. Life just becomes so hard and so unbearable that we decide to change. But you don't need to wait these moments. You don't need to wait these breakdowns in order to experience this. The second reminder is that your access to knowledge and people is always limited by your status. And by that I mean, people that are around you will always introduce you to their knowledge and their access. And if you don't change your circle, if you don't experiment a little bit, meeting new people, going to new events, you will never know what else is possible. And one story here is from my life when I've started my first business, when I've opened my company. I've met an incredible person that became my mentor, and she introduced me to some new people. And when I met new people, I've noticed incredible new ways how to, for example, make money with art. One said to me, I know some artists who are working with investors. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that you can do something like that. And I've talked with some more people. Every time I met a new person, I almost always got a new idea about what I could do with my business, what I could do with my art. Not that all these ideas were great, and most ideas I've just ignored because I had my own vision for where I want to go. But the thing is that if we don't keep meeting new people, if we don't keep going to some new circles, if we don't keep expanding ourselves, we'll feel limited by what we know. And if we stay limited by what we know, we are just not open for something new. And suddenly we start to believe that this is all, that reality is just what we think to be real. But the thing is, we just don't know how much we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And if we don't go into some new circles, to some new places, we'll never know what else truly is out there that could open new doors to you. So the thing is, if you're not careful about what I mentioned, like your access to knowledge and people is limited by your status, if you're not careful, you will accept that this status of yours is here to define you. It becomes something you get defined by. And then you start to believe, look, I'm just this. I'm broke because, my family is broke. Or I'm unhealthy because we have this gene in the family. And things like that. You see, if you study a little bit, you recognize People came out of these situations because they've done things a bit differently than maybe their other family members. They've done something unpleasant but different, healthier, and therefore their life started changing. So I'm often talking to you about balance, about finding harmony in your life. But the thing is that so many times I actually needed to force myself into action because habitually I would just do what's familiar to me. I would never start this YouTube channel because it was so unpleasant, especially at a certain point of my life where I needed to delete so many of my viral videos that were not really fully produced by me, so I had some copyright issues and I needed to delete them. And at that point I actually needed to become a messenger on this channel. I actually needed to learn to speak English more precisely, and yeah, that was a huge breakdown for me. But yeah, I also felt quite overwhelmed and anxious and shameful to express myself. Like, what do I have to share? And we often feel like that. But you see, life many times pushes us into this kind of experiences because life understands that on the other side of this challenge there is more evolved version of you, that version can come into life if you don't give birth to it through kind of perseverance, through pain, through shame, through fear, through anxiousness, by just keeping up walking into the fire. Eventually, that old version of you kinda burns right into ashes and phoenix rises as the new you. That's what happens when you are keeping up with doing hard things that you know that are healthy for you. That's what happens when every single day you do a workout, you do something healthy, you make sure you eat healthy, you make sure that your sleeping rhythm is balanced, you make sure that you go outside and soak the sun, right? You make sure that you connect with nature and you make sure that you follow your inner nature, that you recognize your life's task, which is, at the first place, you've come here to grow, you've come here to learn, you've come here to find yourself, and you've come here to become yourself so you can express yourself. But many times people think finding yourself is just something that happens, like I will wait until I find out who I am. No, the thing is we find ourselves by doing things that are usually against ourselves, so we recognize, okay, this is something I don't want to do. I had so many jobs in my life that I hated, and those jobs actually taught me what I don't want to do. Like, I value myself more than this job, so I found myself a better job until I've recognized at some point I actually got my dream job, like something I truly wanted to do for most of my childhood. I wanted to do that job, and once I got it, I've recognized, well, it's fun, it's great, but I'm still not fully fulfilled. And that's when me and Maya decided that we will quit our jobs, we'll go to travel, and we'll be traveling as long as we find out what we truly want to do with our lives. So we've risked it all. We've sold all of our things, packaged what was left into our cars, and we just went. So we had a certain limited amount of money that we've been saving for 2 years, and we went. And yeah, after that I've started painting and working on this YouTube channel. So you see, in order to find yourself, it will not happen by waiting, because so many times I see you waiting, and I've been coaching so many people who thought that finding yourself and having this kind of spiritual realization, like who you are and what you truly want to do, is something that just happens, maybe through meditation or whatever. But it's a constant trial. You see, when you're doing things that are quite against you, like some people go into drugs and they recognize, well, it's not a really healthy way to experiment with life. This kind of lifestyle teaches them of their real value, like I value myself more than this. I actually want to live a healthy lifestyle, and then they become successful business owners or something like that. People go into all kinds of different directions. There are no good and bad ways. The point is that you keep experimenting, obviously with healthy things, until one path just starts resonating with you so much that you know this is your destiny. This is what you came here to do. So when something really resonates with you, you will know it's the thing. But so many times before it resonates with you, it will shake you. Like, as I mentioned, before I've actually started making my own videos, I had this breakdown. I needed to delete videos, and I actually thought this is the worst day in my life. I finally made something that was working and it failed. I had no idea that it will lead me to all these new successes and new things and new growth and new realizations. I had no idea it will work this way. That's why you should never stop when something fearful happens, something that you know it will provide you a lot of growth. And here is the third reminder for you. The future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways. Actually, Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not think that what is hard to master is humanly impossible. And if it is humanly possible, consider it to be within your reach." Consider it to be within your reach, my friend. It is. Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, something motivational, right? But the thing is, so many of you have this inner desire that you want to become good at art or good at whatever you're doing. Many times I got messages on my Instagram like, I'm making music and I know I'm so, I have such a great potential, or I'm a painter like you and I feel like I can make better art than what's famous right now. So many times I got these messages, and when I ask these people, okay, where can I see it? Some of them say, well, I haven't produced anything, or I haven't posted anything. Like, where are we living? In our minds, or we're actually doing things? Right? If we feel we have something great to offer, spend more time doing it than talking about it. Work on it in quietness. No one needs to know what you're doing. Results will show what you've done, right? Actually, when great experts have been studying incredible people from our history, like Leonardo da Vinci and Picasso, and great composers and writers and athletes and chess players, they've recognized that it takes around 10,000 hours of devotion to whatever thing. It's the amount of practice to attain any high level of skill. 10,000 hours. So now you can calculate for yourself how many hours you've invested into your craft, and then you can see where you are on this scale, right? I want you to invest all of yourself into something you want to become good at, because also money will come with it. Relationships will come with it. And you will also become so much happier because you will notice you're actually growing with it. And I think the most joy truly comes out of noticing that we are becoming good at something that fulfills us. But another thing I've noticed, for example, with my art, it's like, firstly, you experience a sense of passion for it. But then when you're doing it for some time, it becomes boring. At some point it becomes boring. Like almost any painting process at some point becomes a bit boring. Maybe when I'm making details or when I'm deep in the process and I know there's still so many hours I need to dedicate to this work, it becomes boring. But then you persevere through this boringness and you recognize, well, it's just a certain habitual reaction of my body to something that requires more patience and more time. So that's why we shouldn't stop when we feel sometimes too emotional about something. Those are all old habits of our bodies, like biological reactions to something we're doing differently, to train ourselves to become good with something. Like if you don't have a memory of mastering something, you just don't know how it feels to work on mastery. So you are only familiar with what you've usually felt when you've started doing something. And that's why so many people quit, because they say, well, it just doesn't feel right anymore. But the thing is, if you truly don't have a memory, how it feels to master something, you don't know. How can you know that it doesn't feel right if you've never experienced it? It just means you need to keep working on it. So you can build a new memory. You can create a memory for yourself that will show you that maybe it's not because you've been bored that you should stop. Maybe not because it became boring or you've been not so passionate about it anymore that you should stop. You don't know what happens if you persevere through, right? I'm just saying that because I know how many times I wanted to quit. With painting, with this YouTube channel, with many things in my life. With working out, I actually quit so many times, and I always got back because I've noticed when I'm working out, I feel better, I feel healthier, I feel more as myself. My body is stronger, I just feel more aligned. And yeah, when I do that, I know I'm a better version of me, even though sometimes it's not pleasant, sometimes I just don't feel like that. Of course, we find balance, like we persevere through it, but then we also take off days and we can just do easy things. So we recharge and rejuvenate and meditate maybe all day long or whatever, reconnect with our spirit, right? And then here's the last reminder I want to give you. Do not envy those who seem to be naturally gifted. You see, most people who are naturally gifted, they actually never learn the value of diligence and focus. So I'm coming from a freestyle mountain bike sport, and in this sport I met so many kids that have been very, very talented at this sport. Like, they didn't need much practice, they just became good very fast. But you know, most of these kids, after 2 months, they just quitted. They've never developed discipline for it. It's same in art, or in music, in painting, in many different things. People who are very gifted at something, they usually don't develop discipline for it because they feel it just comes to them naturally, so they don't need to work hard on it, and because they don't develop this muscle for hard work and discipline, they never get almost nothing to where it could be. It often happens also to the kids that had great results in school and they didn't need to study much for it. After, years, many of these people don't achieve much, maybe higher positions. They kind of get to the average level. And many of them, I feel they hurt a little bit because deep inside they have potential for something so much more. For so much more, offer they could offer, value they could offer to the world. I don't know, I just feel like that. So don't envy those who seem to be naturally gifted. Also, you are gifted at something. If maybe because it feels so natural, you don't see it as a gift. Maybe you're so kind by nature that you just don't see it as a gift. But, well, if you would investigate it, you could actually start coaching people how to be kind, how to develop kind relationships and so on. You need to notice what is the most natural to you, and each of us has something that is natural for us. I feel like painting and drawing and creative expression to me is just very natural. Like, I was able to learn very, very fast the skill of painting, for example, and I'm still learning it. Like, every painting, I think it just gets better. But the thing is that there is something that feels natural to us. But if we don't discipline ourselves with it, we will never take it to where we are maybe destined to take it. If there is a life path for all of us, maybe we'll never know how far we can take it, how creatively we can stretch it, how many new ways and doors we can open with it, if we don't really devote ourselves to it. Life is changing so much on this planet right now, and most of the things and jobs and opportunities and business opportunities and all of that we are preparing for right now don't even exist yet. So we really need to be visionaries right now, adaptable, and we need to see challenges that we can solve in order to really thrive at what is coming. Because the world is changing and so many people are just scared when they're seeing the revolution of AI and everything that's coming out. But people don't see how many opportunities will open up because of this. Because all these opportunities just don't exist yet. Everything is still at the beginning phase. And yeah, I want to remind you to work on what we've been talking today about. Focus on you, focus on building skills, focus on expanding your creativity, but focus on work. 10,000 hours at least, my friend. Focus on doing every single day. Show up for yourself. Do it in quietness. Work on it in quietness. And let results speak for what you've done. My friends, I hope you found great value in today's message. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. May this journey, as even it may feel fearful right now, may it draw you deeper into freedom that will be a byproduct of learned skills and mastery. Thank you so much, my friends, for supporting my art in our store, AttractPassion.com, or Etsy store, AttractPassion. You're so appreciated. Thank you so much. With that, you're supporting this mission, helping to reach more people. And also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community, where we have a community chat. We're doing some monthly challenges and posting monthly guided meditations and answering questions and so much more. So thank you so much for joining us there. And till next time, one love.